about you guys?
I'm doing good. How about you? They haven't joined yet, but it's just me, Lily.
Okay.
I'm a little bit under the weather right now, so I'm sorry if I'm like sniffling or yeah.
Um, I have really bad allergies, so
Yeah.
most of April I'm wearing a mask, so I took it
Oh,
off for the meeting. So
oh my gosh, that sucks. Yeah. The spring definitely like for the people that get allergies, my mom and sister, it's a lot.
yeah, I've been taking allergy shots for 42 years. And
What? That's crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but the people say they didn't help. Well, I tell them the whites. When you look at my eyes now, you can
Hmm.
see white. They used to be blood red most of March and all of April.
Oh my
Some
God.
men.
Wow.
And everybody thought I was an alcoholic.
Oh
I
no.
worked I worked with kids, and the kids would go home and tell their parents,
Oh
"No, he has really bad allergies. What are you talking about? He's not a drunk."
no. That's crazy. Wow, and they only give you shots. Like it's crazy they haven't come up with like a cure for allergies.
Well, that would be wonderful. I
Yeah.
take I take something called Alaclear.
Hmm.
It's a generic for Claritin, but it's a lot cheaper. And
Oh.
then uh, and then I do a saline solution that I force it up my nose, but I make it come out my mouth
Oh my God.
because
Wow.
because all of this is connected.
Yeah.
So if you're just doing the EpiPen or what that I forgot what they call it, but it looks like a T thing that they
Hmm.
show on TV. That
Yeah.
only takes care of your nose. It doesn't get into the other parts, and I need to get to the other parts because that's where I get this horrible itching in my ears. So
No.
years
Hi guys,
ago,
sorry. Our Wi-Fi was bugging.
oh
Hi.
yeah,
Totally good.
Carlos, how are
yeah,
you?
I'm doing okay, thank God. But years ago, I would get very suicidal because I
Oh
was just dealing
no.
with I would get the itching, the horrible itching, and I wear the dark glasses because I used to get migraines all the time. So
Yeah.
my life kind of sucked in this.
I remember I got a concussion in high school and I had to wear sunglasses for a week. That was
Uh-huh.
rough.
Yeah, concussions are the worst.
You've had a
Yeah.
couple, right?
I've had two. Ooh.
Really?
Yeah, from soccer.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh shoot! Did you hit somebody or did the ball hit you?
I one of the time last season, I hit my head back like that. I was like falling back and I hit my head back. That
Oh,
one, and then in high school, I collided heads with a teammate.
Oh my God.
oh
Whoa.
shoot! That must have hurt.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the one where I hit my head back was a lot worse because I was like in the air and
Yeah,
I fell on my back and then my head like I had whiplash.
yeah.
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 When I was running a CYO and they wanted me to, well, we were gonna, the city of Glendale was gonna give us a flooring for the basketball court that we were building. They insisted on having it be concrete, and I said absolutely not. They said, well, why not? And I said, because concrete doesn't give, asphalt will. And they said, well, why
Yeah.
that? And I said, because these are my kids, and if they fall on it, I don't want the back of their heads hitting the concrete. It
No,
don't
for
give any.
sure.
If it hits the asphalt, yeah, especially if it's hot, it'll give. And they said, okay, that's a good reason. Okay.
Yeah. Lily, do you want us to start with like the questions or?
Yes, could you start?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have them up right here.
Yeah.
So,
So I have them on my phone.
Okay.
So kind of this, so the overall theme of like these set of questions, Carlos, is on the SMC experience and like student activism.
Hmm.
Okay.
So it kind of there's like seven questions. The first one kind of starts with what do you remember of the conditions at SMC that led students to mobilize for change when you were a student there?
We didn't have any black teachers. We didn't have any Chicano teachers. We had a population at the college that was mostly white, and there were a lot of Central Californians. And I think I said this before to you that one of them said to me, the only good Mexican is a dead Mexican or the one working in my father's field. And I had to look at him and realize he lived not 5 feet from me in Augustine Hall on the third floor. And that's what I had to deal with. At that time, I was very private in my life and did not want to be outgoing, did not have that kind of personality, but I had become that in my junior and senior years in high school. So I went and I found out how you could do things on campus, how to make decisions. And I was able to get elected student body representative at large in my sophomore year there. And Joe Blau at the time was president, student body president. I still keep in touch with him. He's in Africa now and very, very active in his life and politics there. And another soccer player that was there, they were president and vice president. And we were able to make a few changes into our lives. And also we were able to get organize our MEChA and our BSU to the point where we were able to get a Black and a Chicano coordinator. I'll never forget when we had a joint meeting on what was going to be done. And there was an older guy that everybody was afraid of. His name was Reggie LeMay, big black guy with a deep voice. And I swear everybody was scared of him. And he said that we should go, he was older and a little more experienced, but he said that we should only go for one coordinator. And I was sitting there and I remember my whole body was trembling because I didn't want to go against him and nobody else would stand up. So I stood up and I said, hey, I am tired. I am damn tired of fighting over the crumbs. This time I want to go for the whole loaf of bread. We ain't going for one black and we ain't going for one Chicano. I want the whole enchilada. We're going for the loaf of bread. We got to go for all of it. And Reggie stood up and he says, I think you're kind of racist and this and that. And something to that effect. And a brother of mine, my friend, his name at the time was, they called him Box Badan. Now he's Abdul Jabbar or something else. I can't remember, but he lives in New Orleans. I still stay in touch with him too. And he stood up and he said, Reggie, Carlos Reyes don't got a racist bone in his body. I've known him for a long time. And there's no way what you're saying is true. And he's right. We got to go after the whole loaf of bread. And we did. We were able to fight with the administration, and we got us a Chicano and a Black coordinator for the BSU and the MEChA. And that was one of the things that we did. But we were active in the sense that we bonded together very much so, especially the Chicano guys. We had gone from living in a world where we were with our parents in a Mexican community, mostly Mexican communities in Fresno and LA or up there and up north. And now we were in a different environment. Now we were in a place that was dominated by another people, and they were foreign to us. We were foreign to them. And we bonded together and we would go to dinner, 25 of us at a time, Chicanos and Blacks. And sometimes, they had the same problems that we did. So that's how we dealt with it.
I have like a question on top of that. When you guys like were able to get like, like you said, like both a Chicano and an African American, and was it like a struggle to get that? Like would the administration kind of like
Hell yes.
yeah. They pushed back a lot.
Yeah. There was a man by the name of Odell Johnson that they had hired. He was a black man. OJ was a great guy. He was a leader in the sense that he would be the focal point of our communication with the administration. And he would listen. He'd really listen to what you had to say. And we were, in a sense, sponsored by him in what we thought. And he backed us to the hilt, to the point that he could have been fired over several situations where he stood up as a man. That line was right there and he wasn't backing down from it. and we backed them to the hilt.
That's awesome. You were able to like have someone like that to
Yeah.
like help you guys. I couldn't imagine. Do you think it would have happened without him still? Like, do you think you still would have been, or do you think he was like very vi like just in retrospect?
In retrospect, thinking about it, there would have been a hell of a lot more violence if he hadn't been around.
Yeah.
They would have pushed us to that point
Hmm.
because there were several students that actually did things like that. Like I
Yeah.
told you before, I got blown up twice in my room, or they blew
Hmm.
my door off its hinges.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, sure.
It's crazy. Like,
Crazy.
it's just so, it's like so like weird to hear almost just because like obviously it's different now, but like imagining like our campus like that. Obviously it was everywhere, but it's just like,
Well, what was horrible was the second time they did it, my 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 friends were holding me in their arms trying to get me to go to the infirmary, and I was bleeding from my ears. That was the
oh,
worst one.
holy shit.
And yeah. And all I could think about was, oh man, if I ever catch the guy that did this,
Yeah.
Lord, let me find him. Took 2 years, but that's another story.
Yeah. This kind of is the next question's kind of like connecting it to like larger issue. It's were those student protests like at SMC connected to larger societal issues taking place during those times? Like they obviously were, but like what issues were they connected to back then, I guess? Like what was going on? Like what do you remember that was going on like just in the not just at St. Mary's as a whole, but like in the grand scheme of things, like what was kind of going on in the world while you guys were having those protests?
Our freshman year is when Kent State happened. I don't remember what they were protesting there, but there were several members of that student body that got shot. I think it was two of them that died. And our protest at that time, in those days, we sent a guy named Louis Rivera to Kent State to help with the negotiations that they had there, because they wanted outside people to come in and help and witness what they were doing and come back and tell us. So we sent Louis Rivera there, and when he came back, he told us about the fight, about the getting people getting shot and people protesting, and getting to the point that it was way beyond what was happening at St. Mary's. And we were living, we weren't even that far from where Haight Ashbury is, okay? Which I don't know if you guys know about that, but for me, that was a central point of the world for any hippie that lived at the time. Okay, and those were free thinking individuals that were, to me, they were way ahead of their time. I often refer to myself as a 1960s buffoon because those ethics and that criteria for life, I've lived all my life by those things. And it's been very, very difficult at times because the right thing for so many, or 99% of the people around me, was what I was supposed to do. And I just stood there and said, the hell with you, with how hit everybody. I don't care. I'm doing what I think is right. And I would do what I thought was right. I was talking to a friend of mine that came to St. Mary's my senior year, and Miguel Gonzalez. You guys might know him. And he was a freshman when I graduated. I had hung around with his older brother, Marilio Gonzalez. And the time I got shot at, the several other situations that I was in because of him. And he'd come to me and tell me, Twig, they called me Twig. And he said, Twig, you got to come with me. I said, sure, okay. And I said, what are we going to do? He says, we're going to do, what, you don't want to know. I thought, oh, shoot, another one of those. Okay, fine. But I would always go with him. But he knew I'd back him up 100%. And what was the initial question? I forgot now. I can't hear you.
Sorry, my bad. Were those student protests at St. Mary's connected to larger societal issues taking place during those times?
Okay. When you would go to Haight-Ashbury and you'd see these hippies and all the things that were going on at the time, I know famous for drugs and all that stuff, but there was a lot of conversations that were had. And there was conversations, I would sit there and say, man, these guys are talking out of the cosmos, my God. But they penetrated in the sense that you got an idea of what other people were thinking of, not just religiously, but you got the understanding that they felt for you in your situation. I will never forget when I came home one day and I talked to my little brother, my brother Raul, may he rest in peace. He went to St. Mary's right after I left. He entered in 73 in September. But he was 14 at the time, and I was a freshman up there. And when I came back, I told him about what I felt was one of the greatest honors that you could do. When you wanted to honor somebody at that time, a lot of us would just put our fist up in the air, like John Carlos, Tommy Smith, and that I think it was from Australia did at the Olympics. And when they got kicked out, and after that, it was a sense of black power. Okay, in the newspapers and everywhere else, they talked about it as being a sense of black power, Chicano power. We all adopted that. But at the time, I can't remember his name, but he was a religious minister who had a place in San Jose, and they showed it as a matter of respect for one another and in honor of each other. They would put up their fist. Instead of clapping or whatever, they would be cheering, but they'd put that fist up. So I told my brother that was the greatest honor I could give anybody else, instead of clapping or yelling. He said, why is that? I said, because it's not just Chicanos, it's not just blacks. It was international students like a guy named Laco or Joe Blau that I mentioned earlier, who became student body president, or my buddy Manny Gutierrez, who came from, he's born Portuguese, lived in England, and went to school in England, and he's Japanese. And when he introduced himself to me, it was like, wait a minute, say that again? And to this day, I still know him. He's like my brother. And he'll always be my brother. And my brother, Felix Romero, who I started to talk about when I was a senior. When I was talking to my friend yesterday, when I was a senior, I had a big fight with the concilio. We had a concilio of 5 people who ran MEChA. And at the time, I got very angry at them, but I was outvoted 4-1. They wanted to have a big party and spend a lot of money on a big party for all the Chicanos and the blacks on campus. And I thought, great, but no, I want to take half that money and start a breakfast program at St. Elizabeth's in Oakland, because my friend Felix and Izzy were touting that, and the rest of the concilio said no. And I said, the hell with you. I'm voting against it. And so they said, well, we outvoted you, so you have to write the check for it, because I was treasurer. And I said, well, you can stick that check in where the sun don't shine. I ain't going to sign it. And he said, wait a minute, I don't have to do nothing. You guys you write your check and you take it to the bank. Well, the guy at the bank and I had been dealing with each other for 3 years. So he calls me up and he says, do I honor this check? And I said, well, have you ever cashed a check that didn't have my signature on it? He goes, well, no. He says, are you going to start now? You know what's going to happen if you do? And he goes, oh, hell no. Okay. And he said, no, he wouldn't sign the check.
That's good.
They got so mad at me. They had this other guy, we called him Raton, and everybody trusted him. So he came to me. He didn't know. So he came to me on the tennis courts because I was at tennis practice, and he asked me to sign the check. And I said, what's this check for? He says, it doesn't have any amount or anything. He said, they just told me to have you sign it. I said, oh, hell no. He says, do you know what this is about? He goes, no. And I said, well, tell them. And I told him what it was about. And he goes, oh, no, I vote for you. And I said, yeah, tell them we're going to have a special meeting on MEChA and you're going to propose it, okay? He goes, all right. So he did. And I had my friend Sapo, who was my roommate my freshman year. His name was Mario Salazar. We just lost him about 2 years ago. And his cousin Alex was a year ahead of us. And they tried to crucify me at that meeting, saying that I was taking too much power and this and that, and that, I was just wrong in what I was doing. My friend Felix spoke, my friend Izzy spoke about the breakfast program in Oakland, and they voted 33-3 for me. So we started a breakfast program that to this day is still going in Oakland. And the last time I visited that, I visited in 1989 when I took supplies up from Pacoima for the people up in the area, in the Oakland area, after the earthquake. After the earthquake that happened when the World Series was going on between the Oakland A's and the San Francisco Giants. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we went up there. I went up there twice and went with Felix, and we went down to St. Elizabeth's to the breakfast program, and they treated us like kings because they knew who we were. So that's kind of some of the activism that we had at the time and how we dealt with it.
Yeah, well, the 33-3, that must have felt great.
Oh boy, did it.
How mad and they were so like so far off, like they could they even complain? Like the three?
No,
No.
no. And what was so funny about that, I counted everybody. It was 33-3. That meant the girlfriend of one of the guys, and she was also the sister of one of the guys that was against me, voted against them. So they knew.
Yeah.
They knew, and I knew too. So
well, at the end of the day, right? Like the right outcome prevailed, and that
yeah,
right.
that's
like,
what I said. And one of those people was my brother Tony, one of the four that voted against me, and a girl named Maria Durazo, who's very famous in politics now.
Wow. Well, was that
So
a fun
they
was
were
that a fun conversation with your brother after? Like,
oh, he was so mad at me. Like I told him, you know where you stick your conversation, Tony. I already told you, don't. I told you in front of them, and I'll tell you now. You want to hear it again?
yeah. Do you want to do question 3?
Sure. All right. So the next question that we have for you is, what role, if any, did you take in any of those campaigns for justice here at SMC? If you were part of the campaign, what did the coordination between students on campus look like? So like, how did everything coordinate between like you and the other students here on campus? How was everything like sorted out?
With the student-led activism.
Like communication wise, like how was it talked about amongst like yourselves?
Yeah. Did it start small? Like, did you gain groups through the activism? Like, just kind of like that kind of flow of questions.
The groups were already going, but the meetings had maybe 15 to 20 people in them. Okay. But when excuse my language, but when the shit hit the fan, it went from 15 to 25 to 30 for the meetings. So a whole lot of other people that were on the fringes that cared about things started coming to the meetings instead of staying home or in their rooms. And excuse me, when we were meeting, MEChA met by itself, BSU met by itself, the international students met by themselves. Then we came together and made the decision to go and take over the chapel, for example, when we had the chapel fast. Before that, in individual organizations, we were completely separate in that way. There was a lot of crossovers because we had a lot of friendships, but there was still crossovers and communication. But when it came to that point, when we went out for the chapel fast, it was just a mutual agreement. With MEChA, one of the things that happened was that at the last second, my well, that guy Alejandro, he was kind of panicking because he was going to go to Santa Clara the next year and become an attorney, or try to become an attorney. And he was freaking out because he thought he was going to lose a scholarship or lose any ability to go on. And so we went on to have a special meeting for MEChA, but it was just before the deadline. I think we were supposed to be in the church at 2 or at noon or something like that. I don't remember. It's been so long. And so we were having the meeting, and he expressed his fears, and so did other people. I had no fears myself. I'd already decided to me, it was just a damn waste of time. So I told them all, I said, look, you can make your vote, you can do whatever you're going to do, but I already made my decision. I'll be damned if I'm going to stay here and listen to this crap. Bye. So I left. So I went to the church to go into the church. And as I stood in front of the church, I said, oh my God, what have I done? What if I'm the only one that goes in there? I said, I don't care, I'm going in. And just as I was going to go in, all the MEChA people, my brother and everybody was walking on the other side, coming from the jail, coming towards the chapel. And I thought, okay, good. So I waited for them and we went in. The meetings there, we would be talking about how we were going to handle things, especially when Sunday came, and talking about, all these people are going to come in. We're going to just take the first 2 rows on each side, and that all the other people be in there, because we were scared to death that there were going to be people that came in from outside with guns or whatever. And especially during Mass, there was all these people that came in there, and we didn't know what they had brought with them. So we just stood our ground. The administration wanted us to leave the church, at least for the Masses and whatever, and we said no, we were going to stay there. And I will never forget, at the time, I had gotten bronchitis. I have real bad allergies. And recently I just had bronchitis that reminded me of that. And they threw me out. I had kept them up all night. And Nate Carroll, one of the basketball players, after their meeting that they had, they said, okay, first thing on the agenda, Carlos, get out. We voted, you're out. I said, what? What did I do? That damn cough of yours, get out. Go see the infirmary, go to the infirmary, go see the doctor, get well, but don't come back to your bed. So they threw me out. So I was the only minority in the place where we ate lunch or dinner. So when I went to eat, I was sitting at these empty tables all by myself. That was horrible. But I ended up getting better, and we went. Several of the guys did stay and do the fasting for the weeks that we were in there. I saw a lot of cheaters. They would take off and go to Jack in the Box and lie. That's where they went. I know where you went. But those were some difficult times for us.
Yeah, I can imagine. How long did y'all stay in or obviously they booted you, but like how long did they stay in the church?
Well, I went back. We stayed there for about I think it was 2.5 weeks altogether.
Wow. Okay. No, and I guess though there's another question on administration,
Well,
so I'll wait to ask.
if I may, okay,
Yeah.
maybe those answer your question. But at the time, Odell Johnson was being fired. Okay, there was a guy named Slakey. I think his first name was John, but Mr. Slakey was the one that fired all the Chicano teachers, or half the Chicano staff, half the black staff, and that's what we were protesting. That's why we went into the chapel, and that's why the basketball players had protested too. And we weren't going to back down from him. Everybody just hated his guts.
Yeah.
Yeah, he even said that there were several threats on his life. And I said, I know there's several threats on your life. Don't come around us. don't walk around here alone, man, because you're gonna be sorry if you ever do.
Yeah. That's sorry, one quick Lily, do you see where it says time left, 9 minutes 50? Does that mean it's gonna end the Zoom and then we're gonna have to do another one?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right. So Carlos, when that ends, we'll just resend you another one, like a minute
That's fine.
later. Okay.
That's what happened the last time.
I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you have to get like you have to buy something now on
I
Zoom,
think you have to have like a subscription
like
to
a
have like
unlimited time. So we just have to do what we did before.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
whatever it takes, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question is, how are you feeling either witnessing the students mobilizing or being a part of the student protests on campus at that time? Like just like your overall experience, how you felt like, yeah,
being part of it.
like you obviously kind of highlighted it, but kind of if you could just go a little bit more in depth, kind of like how you felt to be a part of those protests.
I was really proud.
Yeah.
I was really proud, especially some of the individuals that were standing on the sidelines. All of a sudden, they were loud and proud too. And I never saw, but when I talked to Tom Brown, he told me about the other students, white students that sat in the quad, that would stay in the quad, and they camped out there, and they stayed in the quad. They didn't go stay in the chapel, but they stayed in the quad area to protest too. But I never saw that because I was over in the chapel. So, but I was very proud of them too, thinking about that.
Were there any white students that joined you in the chapel?
No,
No?
no, no, there weren't any.
And did you guys like you said 2.5 weeks, right? That y'all were in
About
the
2.5 weeks, yeah.
did y'all like gain as the process went on, did you gain more and more? Or kind of it was like a set group from the beginning that like continued? Or like did you gain followers or
Like throughout
protesters
the days.
throughout the weeks or days? Like would people see what you guys were doing and then they'd want to
Join you?
join you or like yeah, basically.
To be honest with you, I don't remember, and I didn't notice.
Yeah.
I didn't notice,
Hmm.
especially those days that I was out of there, when they kicked me out. I had no other company when I was eating.
Yeah.
I know they were all over there. So, but
And
it was
then
almost like all of us were in there, at least the Latino students.
and I, did any administration join? Was there anybody like or no?
No,
No.
no. The
No.
closest, see, I mentioned the coordinators.
Okay,
I
good.
mentioned Odell Johnson. There was also another brother who was very supportive of me, let's say. Okay, he didn't come up to MEChA and whatever, but his name was Brother DeSales. His real name was Oscar Perez. And my sophomore roommate was an Oscar Perez from Salesian. And Brother DeSales was very supportive of us. He wasn't able to come out and say the things that he wanted to because of the administration, how it was. But he was very supportive in the background for us.
Sorry, our roommate walked in.
Okay. But when we were doing things, he was our not our resident assistant, but he was the resident of the administration and the school that lived on campus in the dorms on our floor. So I got to know Brother DeSales very well because he was also my Spanish teacher. He got me. I had a big argument with my Spanish teacher my sophomore year. She insisted that you call salt blando, and I told her she was full of crap. I'd never heard that in my life. I asked anybody in the class, have you ever heard that? Blando, what kind of crap is this? And she said, yes, it is. And then I turned to the class and they said, I never heard that. So she got really mad at me. She threw me out. And when she threw me out that night, I got called into the sales' office. And he told me that I couldn't behave like that anymore. And I told him, well, tell her, stop making stuff up. And he told me, she's married to a Spaniard, and that's what they say. I said, look, I'm Mexican, and I have never heard it called that, and I probably
Yeah.
never will again.
No, yeah, I just that's rough on mute. He was like, I've never.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah,
heard of
I
that.
never heard that
I've
crap.
never heard of that.
Yeah. So she had it in for me for the rest of the year. But Brother DeSales promised me that night. He says, look, this is the last time you're gonna have to take her. Next year you can have me as your teacher, and the following year, I promise you will never have her as your teacher again. uh, but
Um, I have one more sub question on this question. So you're talking about the brother that was kind of involved. Out of like all the administration, like what kind of percent would you say like was kind of like good for them? Like kind of in support of it? Or was it just almost everyone was like kind of against y'all's protest? Or were there like some teachers or maybe they were outspoken, maybe they weren't, or like they were privately, but they were like, hey, like I support what you're doing, like it's right, it's needed, you know?
there were 2 or 3 teachers that were supportive of us. I was working, I think I mentioned this earlier. I was working with a brother Louis, and when we were doing the negotiations and the conversations that we were having with the administration and some of the members of the board of trustees, a member or representative of the board of trustees that was at the meetings, I was working with a brother Louis on statistics, and the statistics were on scholarships, grants and aid, or something that was called, how much we were paying out of our pockets and how much was being paid in loans. 1/3 of the money was grants, 1/3 of the money was loans, and 1/3 of the money was coming out of our pockets, at least on the data that I had. And brother Mel Anderson, okay, and there were TV cameras and newspapers that were there at the time. He said that 2/3 of the money was being sponsored by St. Mary's College, that they were giving that much in scholarships, which I knew was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
But in the sense that, okay, they were always also getting money for administration. They were also getting money to build new buildings, loans, and other things that they qualified for because they had Chicanos and Blacks on campus.
Mm-hmm.
So his numbers did not agree with the facts I had on paper.
Yeah.
So I looked at Brother Louis, and he looked at me in horror, and he realized I knew all this information. I had copies of his information in my room that I
Mm-hmm.
could go to and show them. And I looked at Brother Louis, and he looked at me like, "Don't, please don't do this." And I raised my hand to speak, and I told him, "He's a liar. He's lying through his teeth. They're getting grants. I'm going to repeat what I just told you guys." And then they said, "Well, do you have proof of this?" Yeah, I got proof. I got it in my room. If you wait for me, it'll take me 10 minutes to go and come back. So I ran to my room, got the copies, and I showed it to them. So the newspapers and all the coverage was, Brother Mel did not look good at all because he was lying. He was flat out lying. And the trustee that was there, that, he shook my hand when the meeting ended. He shook my hand. And he said, "Thank you for standing up and telling the truth." And I said, "Well, thank you, sir. But that's not the only thing he's been lying about. There's a lot of other things that are going on." And he says, "No, we'll make sure we take care of these things." It was kind of the turning point of the whole thing. So,
All right, here, Lily, do you wanna end it and then we'll resend one to Carlos in like a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Carlos, we'll send you another thing in like 1 minute.
okay.
Who's your favorite team?
My wife and my son like this team in England. Oh, what the hell?
Is it here? I can name Liverpool, Arsenal.
Liverpool.
Oh, that's my team. They're playing right now.
Yeah, yeah,
They're losing. They suck this year.
yeah.
They were really good last year, though.
Wait a minute. Are they the one that's all blue?
No, that's Manchester City. They're
No,
done.
that's not the
Chelsea. Chelsea's all blue.
Chelsea. That's the one.
Oh,
They like Chelsea.
oh
But,
yeah.
but my kids make fun. Well, when I was still working, the last job I had, they all the guys were Latino from different countries, or Latino countries, and they asked me, well, who do you root for when Mexico plays the USA? I said, Mexico, of course. I said, why? Because I'm Mexican. That's why.
Mexican.
So they started laughing and says, who do you vote for? Who do you root for when it's Argentina against England? And I said, listen, let me explain something to you, okay? I don't root for those white teams, period. I don't care if they're playing Uruguay and Paraguay, where the Nazis went, okay? I'm rooting for the Latino club
Yeah.
against anybody.
Yeah. Did you see that World Cup final? Argentina, France?
Yeah,
But what a game, huh?
what a game.
Like I'm so excited for the World Cup this summer too. It's here
Yeah,
too. The tickets are just way too expensive though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I still remember, no fue penal.
No fue penal. Oh, no, no,
¿Te
no.
acuerdas?
Nunca, nunca.
Oh, my
That was our
relatives in
golden
Mexico were
generation.
so pissed off, boy. No fue
No,
penal.
it like you have nothing to say about it. Like
Yeah,
I'm speechless. Like I can't even say anything about it. Like
yeah.
it's just a moment that
Uh, my
damn, we just gonna have to live with.
Yeah,
But
so some of my friends that say this, I told them, isn't that an obvious thing of cheating? So, what do you mean there's no racism? That's cheat. That's flat out cheating. It's a bad call, man.
Yeah.
No, no, you have to live with that. I got two fingers for you. I have to live
yeah,
with.
yeah, like it's so long ago, but it felt like it just
Oh,
it,
it
it,
felt
was-
like it just happened.
it
My
felt like it
skin,
just happened.
the hair on my arms is standing up. I just so angry thinking about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why I just prefer to leave it, not even think about it
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, just let it go.
Would you watch the Mexican League at all?
No.
Liga MX? No?
I will if they put it. If I'm at a bar and something like hell yeah, I watch that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
But not
Uh,
usually. I'm a
for the
big
most
Dodger fan. I'm a big Laker fan. I'm an LA boy,
Oh yeah, okay.
but I spell it ELLAY. LA.
Our LA friend is here. He's just
Yeah,
He's from LA too,
yeah.
so he's
Dodgers.
yeah. There was a guy named Lyle Spencer that was a writer for the Herald Examiner years and years ago, and that was basically his tagline. He would always write when he talked about Los Angeles, he would put LA in his articles. I loved it. All right.
Um, so I had a for the last part of like what you were saying, you're talking about like how the grants and everything didn't add up. I had a question. Did the I think I know the answer, but regarding like grants and like, aid they gave to students,
Uh-huh.
did the white kids get more aid than the Chicano and black kids? Like were they or maybe I don't know. I'm kind of
did
wondering.
you know anything like
Because
about
like now it's very everybody here gets a lot of aid. Obviously, it doesn't matter if you're like white,
I,
Hispanic.
I imagine they did, but I had no access to that part of it. Okay. Well, I had access to it in the sense that we had uh, under the Latinos,
Okay.
the list, when I would talk to Brother Louis, they had a guy named Randy Andrada. I'll never forget his name. One of the most racist people that was ever on the campus. He
Mhm.
was listed as one of the Latino students. And
Was
I told
was
Brother,
he was he Latino? Yeah.
his name was Randy Andrada.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
He was Italian, as he put it. And he was listed as one of the Latino students. And when I pointed it out to Brother Louis, he said, is that the only questionable one? I said, no, there's about 7 others. They're all really racist individuals, and they would really love to hear that they're listed among the minorities. Shall I tell them, brother? He goes, no, no, no.
Uh,
Yeah, Randy would have loved that.
yeah. Okay,
Oh,
here.
I had 3 opportunities to say that to him. I had to bite my teeth. My
Yeah. I imagine that was difficult for you.
Oh yeah, I wanted to let him have it. That jerk.
Yeah.
He was a. Well, I don't want to say that because there's girls.
Yeah. I appreciate that. All right, let me pull up the Louis, do you have the questions up or do you want me to keep going?
Um, give me a second.
I can
And
ask them. I can ask the next one.
Okay, sorry. I'm a little
No,
bit
no,
sick.
you're good. No, no, you're good. I was
Okay.
just, yeah. So the next question, Carlos, is it's kind of a long one. So it's you kind of already talked about it, so maybe just I guess you can kind of just give us a little whatever else you have, but is how did the college administration respond to the student protests? How did your families and friends respond? What about other students on campus or fa or even faculty? What was their response? Just what was everyone's response to what was happening? So like your family, your friends, the faculty, maybe even people like just like that you knew that weren't even a part, like that were kind of in the community, but not maybe even here. Just like everyone's kind of like everyone's response to like what was happening.
I couldn't comment on my family. My brother and I both knew that if our family found out anything about what was going on in St. Mary's at that time, my mother would have pulled us out of campus.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
She
yeah.
she did not want any of this stuff to go on. One of my best friends, his name's Alco Madura, and I still talk to him to this day. He's my best friend in the world. But he always would talk about the fact that my mother didn't want him around or him influencing me, that he was a bad influence. And he always says, she never knew you were the bad influence. You were the one that was always doing things, and you were the one that was getting into trouble doing things. That's why you didn't want anybody to know about what you were doing on campus and why your mother would have kicked you out of the school.
Yeah.
So he would make me laugh. But at the time, most of us tried to hide it from our parents. We didn't want them to know what we were going through or any kind of pain or problems that we were having on campus. There were individuals that we knew in Oakland, in Berkeley, and stuff that were very supportive of us, but they knew to stay off campus. It just wasn't a recommended thing. So nobody ever came to support us physically.
Hmm.
And there were teachers that were supportive, but they were mostly quiet about it.
Yeah.
They weren't very verbal about things.
Would they have, is it because the essence of they would like lose their, maybe lose their position? Like if they were to be
Hell yes.
in support of you guys?
Yes. Yes. After all the firings and all the layoffs that they'd had, everybody knew that they came out in support of us, they would get fired.
Hmm.
So none of the teachers would do that.
Hmm.
The other thing was that there were other students that were on the peripheral, other white students that as time went on and they saw how stubborn and how willing to make sacrifices and stay in the chapel and not eat or because several of us did last the whole time that they didn't eat. I know Manny did. I know Willie Aguiar did. They're both international students, and there was a couple more, and they would see the sacrifices individuals were making, and hear about the negotiations and hear about what I did to Brother Mel Anderson and how he was lying. And I remember Mel Sneed. I remember different guys that were on the tennis team with me. They became very supportive, and they said, "No, whatever you say, Carlos, goes. Whatever you have to do, just do it. You know what you need to do, go for it, man." So they became very supportive of us as time went on.
Hmm.
And on the outside, when we see the newscast, or we're lucky enough to see a newscast at 11 from the newspapers, or from not the newspapers, but the TV news, they also became very supportive of us and respected the fact that people came to church and we didn't harass anybody. There were little kids that would point at us and whatever because we had long hair and we were unique to them. So
Hmm.
they talked to us and say things to us, and I would just answer and be friendly. And the people that were there, some of them would tell us, "We're supportive of you. Not everybody's against you." It says, "But be careful. There are a lot of people that are against you."
Um, I know how you said like I remember last Zoom we were talking about like your father. You talked about him a little bit and like how you had an interesting relationship. It was not easy and everything. How do you think? because you said your mom didn't know. I presume your pops didn't really know. Did your pops not know what was going on either?
He would have taken us out
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what do you think? Like,
faster than my
would he have
mother.
been? Would he have been like kind of proud, or he would have been like, no, like you, like obviously, I don't know, like how. What do you think his reaction like would have been if he knew? Besides, like obviously, he didn't want you to be there. I mean, like just on like the scheme of like you guys are kind of protesting against like just like kind of like the institution.
He started hearing about things 10 years after. So I had to answer all the questions. I saw how proud he was of me, but he also told me, he says, if I would have known,
Um,
dale muchacho, si hubiera sabido. So I just laughed and I said, yeah, I know, Pop, but like I told him, you taught me, you're the one who taught me, never give up.
Yeah.
You make a line and you stand by it. You don't back down. That's it. I told him, yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah. And then one more kind on the friends. You talked about how like you were very proud, to be like a part of it, to do all that. Was that like kind of the consensus of like everyone in the group? Like were there some kids that were like almost like nervous, like hesitant because of like, there could be repercussions. People could like you said, maybe people had guns, like how like maybe like how did your friends like it's like you said you were proud, but like how did your friends feel? Like was everyone the consensus? Everyone was like kind of like proud or like some people were like nervous, some people were like, oh, like I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There were, I never spoke about this before, but there was an element of guys that had a car or whatever and would patrol the campus and outside the campus. And they were on walkie-talkies communicating and letting us know if there was something that we needed to be fearful of or somebody suspicious that was coming on the campus. So there was a lot of us that were fearful and suspicious, and especially at night, because there were things that would come in, and there were individuals that we had to keep watch on campus that we knew were trying to do things that we kept them at a distance and let them know that we were watching them.
Did you guys have a campus safety?
Oh, what?
It's called campus safety here. It's like the guys
the
that
teacher said that it was when the
oh, that's those guys with the
yeah,
walkie-talkies?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or was that your friends? Or that was the
those were guys in MEChA that were doing that. Just our guys.
no, okay.
It was. It
I mean
wasn't
like
anything to do with the campus. It wasn't
okay.
anything to do with any other group. It wasn't anything to do with that.
Yeah. It
Just
was
the guys that had the walkie-talkies. A guy named Phil Vargas was basically in charge of that, and
uh-huh.
he had a car, and so they would do that kind of thing. So I think they had, I think, 5 walkie-talkies and whatever.
Okay. Because we have right like now we have people called we call them P-Safe, public safety, campus safety, and
Uh-huh.
like go around patrolling like for example like if you're smoking like weed out in the campus like they come and like stop you or for example like if someone has a complaint like a girl screaming or something like they'll come.
Yeah.
Did you guys have that?
No,
No.
didn't have any of that.
What about like on the gate like when you enter St. Mary's, like there's that little hut or the little building. Did
Yeah.
you, how did they like, did they have a thing that like stopped people from coming in or it was just
Yeah.
open?
Yeah.
Who managed that?
That was a security company, but it was hired by the administration.
Were they racist?
They were pretty nice.
Yeah.
The security guards were, the ones they hired were pretty nice. But I have a memory of that if you want to hear that.
Yeah, yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. The night that me and MG were outside Augustine Hall, I think I told you guys about this before, but we were outside Augustine Hall and he showed me a big old Woody station wagon that had its windows open and whatever. And then the back of it was like 1,000 stickers for the bumper on your car that said, "Eat the forbidden fruit, California grapes or California lettuce." And they had all that. And MG looked at me and says, "Look at that. What are you going to do about that?" And I told him, "God darn, what the hell?" So I grabbed a bunch of it and I was going to take it. And that's when I heard a gun loading. And there was this guy on the third floor of Augustine Hall. And I looked, I ducked, and he started shooting. He shot out the windows on the back of his car. He started reloading after he shot twice. And then me and MG ran to his car. He had an Impala. We jumped in his white Impala and left the campus. Well, when we were flying past the guard, MG knew the guard. His name was Finnegan. And he yelled, "Look out." So the guard that was behind us, the guy had come down. He got in his car. He shot at us still on campus. And then we went around the turn towards out of the campus past the security guard thing. And then we turned to the right when we got out there headed for Walnut Creek. This guy, when the guy came through, he didn't make it. Finnegan had to dive out of the little security thing, and he took the whole security thing gone. All the wood, everything was gone. They blew it to smithereens. So he was still chasing. He was chasing us into Walnut Creek. About a minute and a half later, we drove by a highway patrolman or somebody coming in from Walnut Creek, one of the cops, because they had gotten the report. And he kind of went by us. And then we heard his tires screeching because the guy behind us had just shot at us. And he stopped, and they went and picked up the guy. We never saw him again. I'm not sure of who he was, but they never saw that car again, and we never saw that guy again. He went to jail. But that's my story about that security.
That I can't even like imagine that happening.
Oh, I can. That was just one of many situations that happened. But I'll never forget MG. He and I were very close. I was in maybe 11 situations, not quite as bad as that with him. But years later, I had found him and got back together with him after his brother Miguel gave me his number, and I was able to find him again because we were together in the 90s in Pacoima. And so when he came to visit me, he told me, he says, "Oh, I remember that story, but you don't know the rest of it." And I said, "Well, what else happened?" He says, "Well, they wanted to kick my butt. So about 8 of them came into the shower room when I was going to take a shower." And I was, I was just there, and I was caught. What was I going to do? So they were going to beat me up. And I told, "Well, okay, as long as it's one-on-one, okay, I'll take all of you on. Come on. Who's first? Come on." And they said, no, they don't want to fight with MG individually. They were going to do it as a group. He said, "No, man, come on, be a man. Take me on. Come on. Come on." Well, MG had the biggest shoulders I ever saw. And he looked thick. You did not want to fight him. I remember seeing a rugby game. There was like the whole team that was packed in, and they were hitting each other. And then out of the blue, this one guy pops out of this great big crowd after all these people are hitting him. And he pops out, and he goes like 65 yards to go score a touchdown. And lo and behold, who was it? It was MG. That's how strong he was. So they were not going to fight him. So I said, "Well, what happened?" Well, they all kind of left, and they ended up leaving me. But I knew who they were, and I went and rounded up a bunch of the black guys that were still around me and some other guys, and we went to visit them and let them know to stay away from me. But they wanted to know who the other guy was. And I said, "Hey, you never told me." He says, "It never came up." This is 52 years later. But may he rest in peace. We lost him about 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah. But he was one hell of a guy.
Mm-hmm. No, sounds like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There's 2 more questions. So like especially with this class, right? Like we didn't know a lot about these protests. So this is kind of like going off of this question, like why do you think the stories or your stories and in general stories of resistance at St. Mary's are not known? What do you think other generations of students could learn from your experience?
It keeps echoing in my head.
Here.
No. Not you guys. Something my father would yell.
Oh, I got you. Sorry.
He would scream at me. He wouldn't say it in a tone. He'd say it as loud as he could. Never give up. That's what I would say that you should take. Draw that line and stand up for what you believe in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if
It's
you believe it enough, don't back down.
yeah. It's simple yet powerful.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'll never forget when he would do that. And then for other people to learn, one of the reasons that I think that they never speak of these things, they're ashamed. They should be ashamed of the way they acted toward us in those days.
Yeah.
I didn't deserve to be blown up. I didn't deserve to be shot at. I didn't deserve to be spit on. Nobody does. Nobody does. No human being deserves to be disrespected like that.
Mm-hmm.
And to be in those situations and then be outnumbered 50-1, you want to do something, but you know damn well you better not.
Yeah. Okay. There's one last question, and it's, do you have any advice or suggestions for SMC students of like this generation?
Enjoy your time there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the greatest time. College is the best time ever. I wouldn't trade it for anything. My upbringing, we were poor, had no money. I never forget meeting a girl at the LA library, and she told me, "Oh, I want you to buy me a hamburger and an orange Julius to drink." And I started laughing. She goes, "What's so funny?" I go, "I ain't got no money for you. Damn, if I had any money, I ain't got no money, man. If I had money, I'd spend it on my little sisters or brothers or on my mother or father. But I ain't gonna spend money on you. You're about to, it'd probably be like 100 people ahead of you to spend money on. But I ain't spending any money on you."
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have said that last part because I'd see her. I saw her for 2 more years at the library. She never talked to me again. And when I told that story to my friends at St. Mary's, they'd tell me, "What the hell's wrong with you, Carlos? Don't you have any way of dealing with girls?" I said, "Oh, I'll deal with girls. Yeah, now I have money, but I was not about to spend money on her."
Yeah. Um, Lily, do you have any like questions for Carlos? It's been about an hour. Like, it's probably good, but if you have any other questions.
Um, no questions. I think he mostly answered what what I wanted to know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he- hmm.
I want to say something to you, Lily, if I may.
Yeah.
When I was very proud of the crossover between the blacks and the Chicanos when I was at St. Mary's. But when I went to work in a city called Glendale
Hmm.
in California, here in Glendale, within the confines of Los Angeles. When I went to work in Glendale in 1981, blacks weren't allowed to be there after sundown. There was one of what do you call them? The sundowner cities?
Yes, that's a question I had. Was it Walnut Creek historically a sundown town?
I I don't know, but I heard things about that. Yes.
Yeah.
But I met a man in Glendale who would wash the cars, and he would go to a bus stop, and he would be allowed to be there by the officer in charge at the time, who became my friend later on. But there were other officers that would just pick him up and take him out of town and put him across the border into Los Angeles. But he told me that it was a very racist town. And I told him, yeah, when I first got into Glendale in 1981, there were very, very few blacks there. It was also known as where the president of the John Birch Society lived, and that was another racist organization like the Ku Klux Klan at the time. The Ku Klux Klan used to have their meetings up in the mountains in Glendale and in Burbank at the time. So I would honor everybody, that any black that was in that area. I would talk to them and tell them, "Hey man, you're lucky to live here. You're lucky you didn't live in those days." And I remember that they would talk to me and says, "Well, how do you know so much about this?" And I said, "Because I worked here. I met the people. Those legends and those horrible stories that you hear, they're true." And I also did a paper when I was in college as a freshman. I documented 94 hangings in the 1800s of Chicanos, of Mexicans, and they weren't, the Mexicans weren't the only ones that were being hung. And they'd laugh and they go, "Yeah, my family's from New Orleans, and we have all kinds of stories we can tell you about that too." And I said, "Yeah, but it's up to us to go on to the future and talk about these things, keep these stories alive, and keep them in the memory of individuals, share them with people so that they realize that these other things that went on, they shouldn't be hidden. They should be talked about. We should be loud and proud of who and what we are and what our parents had to go through and what our relatives had to go through to get us to the point where we're at." So thank you all for your time. Thank you all for remembering us. Thank you all for the things that you do now. But lead us on. Make us proud.
Yeah, I just wanted to like kind of say something about like all that, like, like being like Hispanic, I can like relate to a lot of things that like you've like kind of like gone through, or like just like culturally
Yeah.
wise, like, traditions and all that. And just um like the last question that Sam asked you about, like there's a lot of students now that don't know like what happened before.
Yeah.
Like when I got into this class, this is when I found out about, for example, like the basketball protest. Like I had no idea that
Yeah.
that even happened here. And then like being in this class has like opened my like eyes up, and to like so many different like historical things that have happened here that I didn't think like were like possible of happening here. But it's just pretty like crazy how like all this has happened. And then like for example your story about like the Augustine incident, and then like them following you off campus, like that's something that like I could not even imagine like happening, so like you
Yeah.
telling us those stories, you sharing us like those moments that you've had, and like how you've dealt with them, and like what you've done to like grow and like continue like making a change. It's like pretty crazy and like wonderful to hear at the same time.
Yeah.
And then, like that just like inspires me. And then like going back to like like your Mexican like background and all that, and then like me coming from like that like same part, so like it's like I can really appreciate like your stories and like where you're coming from.
You reminded me of something when you mentioned the basketball protest. After all was said and done in the protest and everything, I was a 3-year letterman in the sense of a tennis team. But when I had to go on the tennis team and wear the uniform that they came up with, I went to my coach and I told her I couldn't wear the uniform. And the year before, um, her husband was there. She was her name was Lynn Raleigh, and I had broken my hand, and I broke my hand in the second set of a match that I was in the WCAC finals, and I didn't walk off the court, and I had hurt my hand pretty badly. I broke my last joint on the little finger twice, on this side down and this sideways. So it was basically off my hand. But I had locked my hand onto the racket and I played the rest of the set. I played another maybe 45 minutes. So when I went to shake hands with the other guy, I couldn't shake hands with my right hand, but I shook it with my left. And he ran over to my coach and said, "You got to take him to the hospital." And her husband was a paramedic. So they knew there was no quit in me. So the next year, I went to them, and her husband was there. And I told him, "I can't wear that uniform. If you let me play without a shirt, if I can play my matches without a shirt, or I can play the matches with the shirt inside out,
I
I'll
got
play for you. But I can't wear that uniform. I can't wear that St. Mary's College because of everything that happened this year." And she said, "Well, I don't know." And her husband said, "Do it. Go ahead and do it." And he looked at her and he says, "After what he's been through and after what he did last year, and you know what he's like, what he did last year for your team, the hell, let him do it." And I kind of looked at him like, you aren't part of the team." But she said, "Oh, okay." But I got to play the rest of my year because I really, really wanted to play. And then the last match that we had, we won the match. It was the only match we ever won in the whole time that I was there. And the black guy that was our number one guy, he finally won a match. His name was Reuben Hunter, and I will always remember that day. So it was a good day in the sense that we finally won a match. But as a competitor and then watching things at St. Mary's College for years after that, man, those were the days, boy.
Yeah.
So enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say to like my friends. Like it's gone by so fast. Like
Yeah,
we just got back from spring break. We had spring break last week, and like
yeah,
we have like a month left, and then we're on summer, and then it's our senior year, and then it's gone like that, you know?
yeah,
So but like the way like I try to think of it is like I just go day by day, you know, like enjoy today, and then I'll enjoy tomorrow, and then don't think about like how much time we got left. Just
yeah,
might as well, or else it's gonna go by faster. So might as well just enjoy like
yeah,
everything right now in the present, because
yeah.
that's the best thing you can do. So yeah,
Yeah.
so
So Lily, getting back to you, happy birthday. I hope you feel better tomorrow.
Thank you.
All
Lily,
right.
it's your birthday.
No, tomorrow is.
Oh,
We'll
so
see you
we'll
in
celebrate
class.
it in class.
Huh?
We're
We get to
celebrating
celebrate it
class.
in class.
Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna go. I'm like really sick.
Oh,
no.
yeah. It's like going around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Carlos, I think there's gonna be like two more of these. We'll still be in
Okay.
touch, but I just want to let you know. Maybe
Or
next,
two.
I think two. He wants us to do four.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But maybe three, but I'm pretty sure it's two more. And maybe next week or the week after we'll do another one and then but we'll be in contact.
Okay. Sounds good.
But again, we appreciate your time. Like
Yeah.
it's really like great like just going back to what Rafa said a bit ago, like this class has like opened up like so many like views that like we just didn't have of like St. Mary's and like kind of like y'all's stories. So like we're really grateful to be able to like kind of hear your story and then like kind of do something with it like in our class. So like I said, we really appreciate your time.
Well, on my side of it, it's nice to talk to you guys, to have you hear my stories. I think my family is tired of hearing my stories.
I
So
want to
God
say that,
bless you all. You take care.
Yeah.
yes, I just want to say you're a great storyteller. Like, I feel like I'm in the moment when you're talking about these situations.
Yeah.
Really cool.
I I worked with little kids and with teenagers for 40 years, for 44, 45 years,
Oh, cool.
and I loved it. I was supposed to be a banker, and I ended up getting into nonprofits and different things because the insurance companies that I was dealing with were just racist. And I told them that's just me. I told them to stick it where the sun don't shine. I hate racism,
Yeah,
and it cost me a lot of money, but I don't care.
I get
But
it.
All right then. Well, thank you, Carlos.
Thank
We'll
you.
text you. Have a good
you're
rest of
welcome.
your week.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you guys take care.